Barnum 11970. I thank you for taking the time to want to listen to what I have to say. And as you can hear in my voice, I'm probably not as loud or probably the same as I usually am. I actually put my trust in somebody, and they potentially have stolen about $500 from me, which is pretty much all the extra spending money I had. And I'm going to fight it and everything. And what I'm going to prove is always how you could take a tragedy and a negative situation and hopefully turn it into something good. So bear with me if my usual tone is not the same as it is, because part of me felt so defeated today I didn't even want to make this video, but I feel these things are important and you can't change the past. You can only move on to the future. So I fully believe in karma. So the person who tried to scam me out of this money, I will get it back, and they'll get what they deserve, and we're going to leave it at that. So I want to talk about what the title of this video is, and that is what they pretty much call around these days SJWs, and that stands for Social Justice Warrior. There's an old saying that talks about drowning in good intention, and with every situation tends to start out with some kind of good intentions to want to change the world, make it a better place, maybe a safer place, maybe a more unified place. And then somewhere along the line, it's taken over by either people who don't understand how something got started, or wants to put it in another direction, or tries to take advantage of a situation for their own personal gain. Because the sad thing is, and it's funny, the more I try and help people, the more I try and put my trust in people, the more I get the attempted taking advantage of. And the good thing is I'm very smart. So like I said, even in the beginning when this person tried to steal about $500 from me, I will get it back, so I'm not really worried. It's just sad that you can't put your trust in people these days. So why is the social justice warrior going to end up hurting us ultimately? These kind of movements, I can understand how they start out. That they want to stop maybe bullying or racial diversity, sexism, and they want more equality. So I can understand how that is a reason or an inspiration for somebody to want to get into a certain movement. The problem is they get tainted along the way. Now, as you notice how I'm speaking, even with the situation that I had, there's a reason why I'm mentioning it and brought it up, is because it shows that even when bad things happen, it's up to you to decide how you handle things and how you deal with life's little challenges. And I don't want to be angry. And we see a lot of people in this movement, and of course there are exceptions to every rule. That's why I don't like labeling people, and this is why I tell people all the time, you shouldn't be in any form of a label, because when you put yourself in a label, you are attached to that label. And with anything, like a magnet, it's very hard to pull away the stronger that pull is. So like, for example, if somebody asks me if I'm a Democrat or a Republican, I'm neither. If somebody asks me, my religious belief, I don't want to be categorized in any one specific religion. I want to believe what I feel in my heart is the right way. That also gives me the ability to allow others to choose in their own right way. I'm a firm believer in karma, that people will always get what they give. Now, the problem with social justice warriors, and that's the term people use, is it starts out with good intention. But when you get to the point where you are either being hypocritical, in other words, like, for example, if somebody says only a white person can be racist, and then someone of a different color says racist things, and they only say only a certain type can be racist, well, that's a racist statement in itself. If somebody is talking about equality for males and females, and the equality is only the positive benefits to the point where you can say things to someone else, but if they say it to you, it's wrong. We are going to divide this, not only country, but this world, to the point where we will never be able to get back what we are trying to achieve. And I would like to think, especially people that come here, that they come here to try and find a better way, to try and think for themselves, to try and see beyond the programming. Because not everything is conspiracy theory. Not everything is government run. Not everything starts out evil. But like, for example, a gun could be something that protects you. It could be something that gets you food. It's something that could keep you safe if used properly. But it can also be a murderous weapon. And that could be said with anything. So to me, it's always about how you interpret what you are doing. And if you have to justify what you're doing, you have to ask yourself why. And in this world, we're having so much hatred, so much division, and so many people trying to dictate what others can and cannot do, that eventually all freedoms will be taken away. And they are never taken away instantly. They are slowly taken away, so even the most sleeping of people will not notice. My channel may not always have everything right. Like I said about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was saying there'll never be a debate. But I was also man enough to accept the fact that I was wrong the very night that debates happened. And I'll still get people that'll go to that video because I'm not going to take it down because I believed in what I said. And I still get hate for it, and I still get people making fun of it. Hindsight is always 20/20. And the problem is, if we continue to see the separation, we are going to be separated. And for some reason, people don't want to see the conclusions to what they start. Because for every action, there is a reaction. There is a consequence. Whether you want to see it or whether it's something further down the road, if you don't think about what you do, and you do just because you feel so passionate about something that you don't want to hear all the other ways things can be and how it affects other people, you're being selfish. And that's why I brought up what happened to me today with a person trying to basically steal about $500 from me. And they admitted in their own messages, which I sent to PayPal, because I trusted the person. I put my trust in people. I don't know why I do that, and I think it's the right thing. And I've always said, because I've had so many times in my life where I've put my trust in people, and they take advantage. And I said, well, maybe it's me. And then I thought about it. Trusting should not be bad. And the reason I bring it up is because people are not trusting people anymore. And people are taking advantage of that. There's a reason why people take advantage of people. It's because they can. And sometimes it's easy. And when you have people that are going to only hear one side of a situation, then how is that ever equality? And I've noticed in a lot of these movements, like for example, and again, there's exceptions to every rule, so I am never going to pigeonhole everybody into this category. But I've seen plenty of people in, for example, the Black Lives Matters. I've seen plenty of people in the feminist movements and all other things where they separate with religion, where there are some who are extremists to the point where they are so angry they are blind to any possibility that they could be mistaken or could be reducing their hatred. Because like I've said before, when they build buildings, they reinforce it with steel. But they have to make sure that steel is rigid so it can bend and flex. Because otherwise it breaks. And what's going to happen is with all of these people saying, oh, you can't say that, you can't joke around like that, you can't do that because I'm hurt, my feelings are hurt. Eventually everything's going to be taken away. And they're going to give us exactly what we ask for. So it's not like, even in a corrupt system, if we keep asking for things and demanding these things happen, they're going to give them to us. Governments, as evil and as corrupt as they are, the fact that we know this and still ask for them to help us, save us, control us, protect us, they're giving us what the masses ultimately want. Or in these days, who screams the loudest? Now, see, this is one thing I want you to be careful of. Like, for example, Mean Rabbit just says the radical left hates itself for being feminized. Now, that is an absolutely generalized statement. I sincerely doubt that every single person on this quote-unquote radical left hates itself. I'm sure there are many that may. But see, here's the problem. We label everybody into a category. For example, many people know there are a lot of people in the Jewish community that run Hollywood and maybe run the banks, but it's not every single Jewish person on the planet that does this. But we want to injure anyone. I mean, why do you think there are wars and they attack people for who they are? Like, for example, in our own country alone, in the United States of America Corporation, we had a point where our own people that happened to be of Japanese descent were all gathered up and placed in camps. Whatever you want to call them doesn't matter. But they were American people that happened to have Japanese descent. So in World War II, they were basically imprisoned. And it's okay, Rabbit. It's all good. But I'm trying to make a point. And then I'm glad you wrote that. Sarcastic or not, that's what I'm trying to say is most people, like, for example, in our government, well, if you're a Democrat, you have to automatically go against what any Republican says. Not because what they say may be right or wrong. It's because it's the opposite of what your party stands for. And you pigeonhole yourself in a certain perspective. You know, I understand, like, for example, the feminist movement. I understand how women want to be treated better. They want to be treated fairly. But if you have to silence other people, then how is that any better? Is it that you want the same power that other people have had over you? Or is it you truly want equality? And somebody made a good point. I was watching a video and a bunch of comedians were talking about how they really don't go to colleges anymore because people are so overly sensitive that you pretty much can't say anything. And the colleges give you a list of things that you can't talk about. And one comedian, and I don't remember his name because it wasn't somebody that famous, at least anybody I didn't recognize, is they were talking about whatever comedic thing they were talking about on stage, and some woman in the crowd screamed, you know, next topic, next topic. In other words, like she was trying to control what he was saying. And she had the freedom to say that. But she also had the freedom, if she didn't like what she was hearing, to walk away, to leave the crowd. But instead of people saying, I'm offended, so I'm going to walk out, they want to shut it down for everyone. And you cannot do that. Prime example, let's say back, especially in before like the 90s, you know, Playboy, Penthouse, and those kind of magazines, they were rampant. They were all over the place. Now, some people may be offended by them. Some people may not agree with them. But no one says you have to buy them, and nobody says it's your right to tell others they can't. I understand, especially even if you're especially extremely religious and say, oh, if you look at that stuff, you'll go to hell. And let's say that's 100% true. It's not your job to save everybody else. It's your job to save yourself, or those who want you to save them. And this world is getting to the point where we feel like if something is bothering us, then no one should be allowed to experience that. And let me tell you something. I was bullied a lot when I was a child. That's why when the trolls, especially when I first started my channel back in the days, I wanted to fight people. I was very defensive. And to this day, I still get a little defensive. It's because I always stood up for myself. And I don't like being called a liar, especially from people who are lying when they're doing it. And that bothers me. But I've never wanted to shut everyone down and say, okay, no one could ever call anybody a liar. Nobody can ever lie about things. Because there are evil people in this world, and they're going to do evil things. They will get what they deserve. But it's not our job to dictate that. And that's the problem with this world where we rely too much on governments and all these different factions to protect us and stand up for us and speak for us and do things for us, is we allow other people to do it, hoping they'll do the right thing. And the person that screwed me, or tried to attempt to screw me out of my $500, We had a great conversation. We spoke for about an hour or two. Seemed like one of the nicest people I ever met doing a transaction. Nothing illegal, nothing immoral, just negotiating a price on something, and I was getting what I thought was a fair deal, and he was getting money that he needed for his item that he was selling. And then I find out after I send the payment, they say that, oh, I never got the payment, even though I have records that it's on there. Then they had another email asking for a shipping fee, which was already sent payment, and they said they did get the money, just not the additional shipping fee. So I reported them on PayPal, and it just happened today. But my point is, we put so much trust in other people to do the right thing, we don't take responsibility for our actions. So even if I lose this money, and it's going to hurt, because I'm no millionaire, and that $500 I could potentially lose is going to hurt, because that was pretty much all the money I've been saving up to try and add more to my protection of my family, and it could potentially be gone. But I could say, and get into a fury and try and stop everybody, but that's not the point. If I've been wronged, that's on me. It's not my right to stop other people. Now, obviously, like for example, when it comes to words, they can be hurtful. I've had people over the years say the most nasty, ridiculous things to me from people I've never met in my life. But that doesn't mean they don't have the right to say it. And I may block them on my channel, but my job isn't to stop them from ever speaking on the internet or shutting the internet down. And there are so many people now that are so offended by every single thing that instead of walking away from something or not listening to something or not buying something or not participating in something, they want to say, oh, well, I don't like it, so nobody should have it. Nobody should hear it. Nobody should believe in it. Nobody should purchase it. There are evil people in this world, ladies and gentlemen. There is no denying that. There are people who take advantage of this system. We know that all the way up into the presidential candidates. But if we are going to continue to play this game, where everything is division and labeling everybody, that all this race is that way, or all this type believe in this thing, or all people in this government go in this direction, and you don't allow yourself the flexibility, you will break. And this country is breaking. So it is a choice that I have tried so hard to get this message out, that it is a choice. And we are choosing silence. We are choosing just to watch videos because maybe it's entertaining, or maybe some people are bored, or maybe they do care, but they don't think they have the power to do anything. Sometimes walking away says and does everything. You could have somebody that you could easily want to punch in the face, and you could probably easily knock him out, maybe even kill him. But the right thing is to walk away. The problem is nowadays people are so filled with hate and anger and frustration, and it's coming from the very people who created all these situations, and they're so untouchable because, as you can see, even people like Hillary Clinton can get away with, and the people of the FBI and all these other people can get away with all the things of hiding evidence and destroying evidence and ignoring subpoenas that if any of us did it, we'd be thrown in the jail quicker than they could ever do an interview day one. They get away with it. We get angry, and instead of taking it out on the right people, we take it out on others. And until we can love everybody, I mean, yes, there are bad white people, there are bad black people, there are bad Asian people, there are bad French people, there are bad Russian people, I can continue on. But I don't label everyone. And I'm one of those people that said, there are the Jewish people in the Jewish community that run Hollywood, that run the banks. Does that mean every single Jewish person on the planet has, a hand in it? No. And the same thing with people talking about Islam. Not every single person that practices the religion of Islam is some radical terrorist out to kill you. And we keep categorizing people. And there was this one video from this one person that was saying all white people are racist. Well, there's a racist statement in itself. So unless you've spoken to every single white person on the entire planet to confirm this truth, how is that beneficial? And all that does is create dialogues of anger and hatred. It's so frustrating to see. And I am very hurt today, and I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. My voice isn't as overpowering as it usually is, because I am very sad today that I put my trust in a person, and we spoke with such respect, and to have a person blatantly flat out lie and basically try and steal from me after I put my trust in this individual, it's a pain. It's a hurt. And, if I was some millionaire that had, millions of dollars in my pocket and said, oh, well, it's 500, what will it loss? I don't have that luxury. But I'm not going to wish everybody now that sells anything or tries to make a deal with anybody is assumed now because that person and maybe one or two others, and I've had other people try and steal from me or take advantage or lie. I'm not going to say, oh, I guess like PayPal and eBay and all these other places should shut down because they're all full of cheaters. No. All of these movements create separation. Instead of saying I'm part of a movement, how about just being part of trying to make peace, trying to bring people closer together? And until we can get to that point, where are we going? And I'm trying to make videos speaking from the heart, speaking with as much integrity as I have, because I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm never going to sit here and say, oh, believe in everything I say, because everything I say is gospel, and I am the man, and I do everything right. Of course not. And I get so many people that just feel the need to hurt. And I watch it all the time on the internet. And there's so many times I would love to just give up and say, you know what, the hell with everybody. You know how much easier my life would be if I just shut this off or shut this channel down and never even watched another video full of hatred from people? There's so much hatred in this world. Why? I've spoken about this so many times about my trolls. They bombard me for years. Some of them stalk me to this day, even from my old channel. I don't go to their channels trying to shut them down. I don't go to their channels trying to tell you guys to hurt anybody. Has anybody here that's been watching my videos hear me ever say, go to this person's channel and go troll them so they know how it feels? I can easily do that. But wrong is wrong. And how come people in this world can't see that? If you're a woman and you feel equality is by restricting what a man can do, then you're not causing any good. If you're a person in the Black Lives Matter movement and you think that all white people are racist and only Black Lives Matter, you're a part of the problem. If you're a white person that feels their need for white supremacy is by placing a sheet over your head and thinking you're superior because of your color of your skin, there's a problem with you as well. If you are a person that's so religiously fanatic that you feel it's your job to judge others and tell other people how to live their lives based on your belief system, you are somebody that does not have the love that you claim to be following. The hypocrisy and the people who do not look at themselves, one of the biggest sins is the ego. Because if you know anything about religion and Lucifer, he's all about ego. That's why he left the love of God, out of jealousy and the feeling that he should be the only one loved. And then Call Me Zabby says, hey Chris, what advice do you have for somebody like me? I'm 18 years old. My advice is be yourself. Don't be afraid of who you are, but don't tell others to live their lives differently or just like yours because you say so. Don't be a follower. I'll give you a prime example of following. My mother had a little party last night. She just redid her kitchen and she was proud of that. You know, it's a small little kitchen. She lives in a small little house, but it was something that made her feel good. She lives alone. You know, the person that she was with for over 30 years passed away years ago, and she's been alone ever since. So, an achievement for her, she redid the kitchen, so she had people over for a party last night. My wife and I went there, and some of my family went there, and my little cousin, who's a teenager, was talking about something about these people that would dress up as clowns and just stand on street corners, scaring people, basically. And then there were copycat people that were doing it. Because when I first thought about that, I thought about, well, they're doing that movie soon, that reboot, and I hate reboots. It's just, my opinion, not worth any money, and I won't put any money into watching a reboot. But I thought they were doing like some kind of promotion for that Stephen King's It, that they were redoing that movie, and it all had to do with a killer clown. I think it was It. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then you get all these followers that think it's funny to do that so they could post videos on YouTube so they can get millions of views and get plenty of money from people by lying to people. And my cousin was talking about how people take it at their age as like a joke. That they're going around posting things with pictures of people standing on the corner dressed in clown outfits and saying, oh, such and such people, you're next. And they find it a joke. And they follow. Don't be a follower. And I'm not just saying this to you, Call Me Xabi, at 18. And I'm proud that an 18-year-old is here because this isn't talking about pranks. This isn't about video games. This isn't showing pornography or degrading anyone. So I'm proud of you that you're actually here. It means you're willing to listen. So that's your first step. Don't be a follower. But if you're not a follower, be prepared to be, you have to become strong. Because when you're not a follower, you tend to be alone. Most people, they always say how strong they are, but if you're in a group and you need other people to feed off of, and that's why I have no respect for any trolls, because they have to hide behind the shadows and they have to have other people edge them on for them to have any kind of strength. Anybody can have physical strength. That's easy. Very much more of a challenge to be emotionally strong and mentally strong. So my thing is, be yourself. Enjoy life. Don't believe everything that you hear. Research things, especially if it's something you question. Don't force your beliefs on anyone else. I have never once told people, because I think a certain way, you have to think that way too, or otherwise you're wrong. And in this world of feminism and all these different movements, they're trying to tell other people how to live, what they can and cannot do. If somebody, like for example, I hate cruelty to animals. I think it's a disgusting thing that what we do to animals. That's why three of my most prides and joys are the three cats that I've rescued that I have in my house. I love them to death. But I cannot stop somebody that wants to eat meat. And I will not look down at them even though they're doing one of the things I don't believe in. It's not my right to tell somebody else how to live. But it doesn't mean I have to like it or agree with it. But you don't see me going to somebody's website and trying to condemn them for what they're doing. And this is the problem in this world. And what is going to happen is we are going to be afraid to speak our minds. We are going to be afraid to stand out. We're going to be afraid to question. And we're just going to be afraid. And we're going to be more and more reliant on other people to take care of us. So I'm glad you asked that question. I want to say to anybody that considers themselves the quote-unquote millennials, stop putting yourself in categories. Stop putting yourself in groups. Stop following everybody, especially if it's something you don't really believe in. If you're just doing it to fit in, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and that's why people get hurt. It's because the original people who started a cause for the right reasons, it gets tainted by people who just want to fit in, and they don't believe in the cause or they don't know the original cause, and others will come in and take advantage of it. People are so excited about hearing about the end of the world, even though there is no end. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Everything is a cycle. You ever notice why we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again? I'm so tired of feeling helpless. And I have no ill will towards the person that tried to take advantage of me. I will get back my money, and they will live with the fact that they are basically a lying thief with no morals, who pretended to be a friend and pretend to care and be honest and stabbed me behind the back. But that's on them. And I'm sorry if you've been hurt in your life, if somebody said something that you didn't like, or somebody said something you didn't agree with. It is hurtful. Trust me, I know. I've been bullied. I know what it's like. And to this day, I still have people saying very nasty things. But I'd rather feel bad for somebody saying a word that I didn't agree with than to live in a world where people are not afraid or not allowed to say anything. So if you want to have some movement to where you're nothing but angry, to where you live in a pool of hypocrisy, if you're always preventing other people from doing something that they may enjoy just because you don't enjoy it, look in the mirror and say, what gives you the right to tell others what they can and cannot do? Especially if you are some kind of religious person, because only God can judge whatever God you believe in. So to the social justice warriors out there, you're not creating good. You are not creating peace. You are not creating unity. You are creating hatred, division, anger, silence, fear, and evil, drowning in good intention. So I don't know what else I can say. I don't know how many times I could say to people, think for yourselves. And we, ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why there are people that are in close to the know as possible, because obviously if you're not part of the corruption, you can only speculate. But there's a big term for most people, and they're called sheep. Because look how easily they follow one another, and how easily they can be led, even to their own slaughter, and they won't even realize it, even when the gun's to their head. So we have a choice, ladies and gentlemen. We can pretend this stuff isn't going to happen. We can have every now and then a prediction that doesn't work right and say, oh, see, it's not going to happen. We can continue to judge each other. We can continue to try and silence people, but be careful what you wish for, ladies and gentlemen. You will get it eventually. And you won't like it. So to the trolls who want to say nasty things about me, I don't like the fact that you spend your time doing it, but you have the right to do it. I will not spend my days trying to silence you. So enjoy your life of hatred, but that's on you, not me. So my advice I can give to anybody, especially the younger people, ladies and gentlemen, if you are under the age of 18, first of all, if you're here, congratulations. But secondly, start caring about other people. All lives matter. And if you get offended by me saying that, that is your problem. And if you don't like what I say or don't agree with what I say, you have that right. But you don't need to be here because you have the right to leave. If you don't like a product that somebody sells, whether it's against your religion or against your own personal whatever, don't buy it. But if somebody else buys that product because it brings them joy, whether it's right or wrong, whether it makes them go to hell or not, is not for you to decide. You can be anything you want to be. So why do so many people want to take the easy road? Do you think the easy road is going to bring you to your salvation, to your rainbow, where the gold is at the end of the rainbow? I don't think so. What is it people have to gain by movements that create anger, fear, hatred, pain? Is that unity? Is that strength? Or do you think there's something else behind it? Do you think there's somebody behind the curtains? And they want you to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. They want you to be scared. They want you to be full of hate. They want you to do their dirty work for them. We all have a choice. And I've said so many times, because people to this day, even though I have so many videos to talk about it, people to this day ask me, how do we become free? by first realizing nobody has control over you. And when you give your control to somebody else, how are you free? If you allow others to make rules for you to live your life because you can't handle or know the difference between right and wrong, well, that's on you. If you're not willing to get out of a corrupt bank system because it's not easy, then don't complain. If you're a woman and you don't like what men are doing to some other woman, well, if it's not happening to you, then why are you putting yourself in the line of fire? If you're a person that may think that certain race has been treated unfairly, if you look throughout history, every race has been treated unfairly at one point. Like I said, I am Irish, English, and Italian. I am the typical white male. I don't hate blacks. I don't hate Jewish people. I don't hate women. And I definitely don't hate myself. I view everybody as a human being, and I determine whether I like them or not based on if they're good or bad. And if they're bad, I just don't ever talk to them. The only time I'm confronted by bad people is when they approach me. We have to go well, you don't have to. Again, it's a choice. But if we continue to push our agendas on other people so it makes you feel better about yourself for whatever reason, you are not fixing whatever internal struggle you have and are not dealing with it and not healing it. You're taking it out on others. So if you're full of anger, you're full of jealousy, you're full of hatred, that says that something in your life caused you to go in that direction and you are not strong enough to face it. And you take it out on other people. Strength is being able to choose to do the right thing. For years, I was the partier. I've said this many times in videos. I used to drink all the time. Being a DJ, being a singer in a band, and even practicing in a band, sometimes anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week, I was drinking every single day. And then one day I just decided, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I would drink 10 Long Island iced teas and it wouldn't do anything. I would make rum and cokes. The bartenders used to let me make them myself when I was DJing. And I'd go behind the bar and I'd put 90% rum and a little bit of tip of coke at the top. Didn't do anything for me. I'd basically just pee it out and just keep going. And I got to the point I said, you know what? This is not doing anything for me. Why do I want it? And I stopped. And you know what? For about 3 years, the remnants of the parties I used to have, all the bottles of liquor were on my refrigerator. Didn't touch one of them. And I could have easily done it. No one would have known. I lived in the house by myself. I could have easily taken those bottles down and drank them anytime I wanted. But I didn't because I know what's the difference between right and wrong. And if I make a stand, I believe in it. These people drowning in good intentions, that's what they're doing. They're thinking, well, I'm an African American, so I want to stand up for fellow African Americans. And that's great. But you shouldn't do it at the expense of others. And if you're a woman, and you think, I believe women should have more rights, and that's great. But don't deny men their rights or anyone else for their rights. And I understand there are minorities, like, for example, transgender, which is a minute part of the population of the world. It's less than 0.2% of the population. They shouldn't be picked on, they shouldn't be bullied, but you also shouldn't dictate what other people should do because you don't like a word. And like I've said, you cannot, or you at least should not, go in a movie theater, go into a bank, go on an airplane, and scream out, I'm going to kill everybody. There should be consequences for your actions. So I don't believe every word you should have the right to say. When it causes panic or harm, there's an intent behind it. No good can come out of somebody jumping on a plane and screaming, I have a bomb. So there should be punishment for that. But you shouldn't punish everybody for the activity of a few stupid people that are just looking basically for attention. I grew up with one parent most of my life. I lived with an alcoholic for a third of my life. My parents, even when they were together and when they got divorced, were always poor. It was always a struggle. I've tried all of my life to try and do the right thing. I've believed in people time and time again, only to be... I've had my house robbed. I've had all these things happen, and yet I still don't have a hatred. I'm still here trying to help people, even with the fact that I know my message hardly gets heard, even though I know that my life is a struggle, and even I know people hate me for doing this because they don't agree with everything I say, and they're so quick to point out the things I get wrong. But yet I still do it because it's the right thing to do. And sadly, I'm the minority when it comes to that. Because most people are too afraid to do anything. And that's why nothing gets done. And continually we will hate each other, continually we will separate from each other, and these social justice warriors are going to create so much restriction that one day no one will be allowed to say anything without permission. No one will be allowed to go anywhere without authority or authorization. And if I would have said something like that 10 years ago, I would have been laughed hysterically at. And even to this day, you're still going to get a few chuckles or say that's crazy. But compare from World War II to now. Have we gotten better or worse as a human society? Now, I'm not talking about technology. Technology always gets better. It gets slowly better. And it especially gets better for the wealthy. But I'm talking about us as human beings. Are we more loving? Are we closer? Are we looking out for one another? Or are we trying to control people? Trying to tell them what they can and cannot think? What they can and cannot do? What they can and cannot believe in? What they can and cannot purchase? You want to poison yourself by drinking nothing but soda? Nobody should tell you that you have a limit to what you can purchase. If you want to pollute your body with cigarettes, then go ahead. And don't be surprised if you end up with lung cancer. Now, things like cigarettes are a little different, because if you smoke in a room where there's other people, that smoke can actually harm other people. So I can understand where something like that is restricted, but I don't think they should ever outlaw it. I think making people go outside so they don't spread their pollutants to other people, because I remember back in the days before cigarettes were banned from bars. When I DJ, and there would be smoke all in the rooms, I'd come home every night with my clothes smelling like cigarettes, and I had major breathing problems. So if you want to say stuff, you have the right. If you want to smoke and kill your body, you have the right. You don't have the right to hurt other people. And that goes for all sides. I don't stand in any movement. I stand for myself and what I believe in. And I don't ask anybody to join my cause or fight for me or do anything for me. That's why I don't ever ask you for anything. And the one time I ever really did, when I got that new cat that we found over a year and a half ago, and it was ended up having to get like 3/4 of its teeth extracted, and it was going to take more money than I can afford. And I actually had to swallow my pride and ask for some donations, which I got, God, maybe less than $100. I got murdered for that. But I'm not selling T-shirts. I'm not selling videos. You don't have to pay to be here. And I'm not trying to start some cult. And anybody is free to come and go as they please. And if you want to say stupid things, that makes you a stupid person. You get what you give. So if you want to present yourself in a hateful way, if you think it's fun to hurt others or say hurtful things, that's a reflection on you. I'll stop you from saying it on my channel if you become offensive or abusive. But I won't stop you from ever being able to speak again. It's your right to be stupid. But why? We complain about this world. If you're here, you're probably one of those people that doesn't like the direction this world is going. So what are we doing to fix it? And we can point fingers all day long. And I'll have plenty of people making comments saying, oh, well, all you're doing is talking. Well, what are those people doing but complaining? So, I'm a little tired. This stuff, especially what happened to me today, took a lot out of me. But even because I care about more than myself, I made this video. It may not be the best. It definitely won't be the most viewed. May not even be liked. But it's just me being myself, trying to get people to understand they have the choice to do the right thing or the wrong thing or nothing. I'm begging you guys and girls out there, treat somebody as you wish to be treated. If you're angry, do whatever it takes to get rid of your anger, and that's not by taking it out on someone else. I don't care how mad I've ever been in my life. For example, my wife and I have had some fights. Every marriage does. But never once would I hit her. Ever. A coward hits a woman. Coward hits anybody that's this for no reason. If somebody hit me and I have to defend myself, that's different. I've never in my life gone up to somebody and just punched them for whatever reason. It's a cowardly thing to do. It's a wrong thing to do. And easily if I can overpower the person. That's not right. How do people not know this? And yet we keep asking people to control us? To regulate us? To tell us what's right and wrong? To the point where soon you'll need a license to even breathe? I'm not going to tell people to share this. I'm not going to tell people to like it. You do what you want. And I'm going to keep trying to make videos. I mean, my videos, they're not going to be the typical videos you're going to see on YouTube because I'm not here to entertain you with a bunch of bullshit so this way I can get views so I can make money. And I would love to do that, especially after today of what happened to me. I may never get that money back, and that's going to hurt me very badly. But I'm going to keep doing the right thing, despite the hatred, despite all the other things. And there are going to be people that are going to listen to this, and they're like, oh, here he goes on his rant, he's saying things again. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here. That's the beautiful thing. You could walk away. If you don't walk away, what does it say about you and your obsession? And that's the problem in this world. People don't let things go. They don't walk away. They sit there and watch a television program and they watch something and say, oh, I don't like that. I don't like it so much, and I'm going to continually remind them that I don't like it, and I'm going to get other people to agree with me, and then we're all going to shut it down. And yeah, MA51, I don't know what that stands for, says your video's real. Thank you. They are real, because it's me. And that's why I can get things wrong. It's okay, ladies and gentlemen, to be imperfect, to get things wrong. And I get plenty of people after the fact saying, oh, you were wrong. Well, where was your prediction? Where were your videos? It's easy to come and say, oh, I looked at one of your videos and it didn't happen, so you're wrong. Okay, tell me something I don't know. But what are you doing? What causes have you stood up for? Look in the mirror. I can look in the mirror and be proud of who I am. Not because I'm perfect. Not because I'm better than anybody. It's because I can look at myself and say, you know what? I've done everything I can to try and do the right thing. I'm at peace with myself. And I want to share that to the few who care enough to want to feel that same thing. You can lie to the whole world. You can even lie to yourself, but you cannot lie to truth. You can look straight in the mirror and justify any wrongdoings you do to the point where it sounds like, oh, you're the victim. Until people take responsibility and understand that everybody has the right to do things and there are consequences for their actions, people are always going to be controlled. And I don't want anarchy. I don't want it to be everybody's going around shooting guns in the air and just beating up people. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I don't need to be regulated. I don't work a 9-to-5 job. I don't have a boss. I don't have a bank account. I rely on myself on everything. And you should too. I don't have anybody that has to tell me what's the difference between right and wrong. I could easily go to my next door neighbor's house that has senior citizens on the left side of my house and go in their house and beat the living crap out of them, maybe even murder them and take everything they have. But it's not right and it'll never happen. And yes, I financially struggle, but you know what? It's a choice. But I'm not going to sell drugs to make myself wealthy. I'm not going to even make videos. You know how easy it would be to make some kind of ridiculous videos, and especially with the trolls that I have, how easily I could sucker them in so they can keep coming to my channel so I can get more views and make thousands of dollars, get millions of views. But I don't do it because it's not the way I want to live. It's a choice. Everything should be a choice. But all these people, these social justice warriors, for whatever cause you think you have, if you're going to restrict other people, you are taking away choices. Until one day somebody takes away one of your choices. So you may win a few rounds of silencing people and restricting people to the point where we're not even allowed to have fun anymore. Because everybody's offended. It's okay to be offended. Maybe it builds character. Maybe it gives you the ability to say, well, I don't like this, so I'm not going to participate in it anymore. It doesn't give you the right to stop it. Murder is something you should stop. Robbery is something you should stop. Rape is something you should stop. And we blame other people all the time. We look in the mirror and sleep well at night because we could lie to ourselves and think we're the only good people. So we have the right to tell others how to think, what to believe in. How dare they? You are going to silence us all one day. And the sad part is, when that happens, people like me and others who have been trying to warn you won't even be allowed to tell you I told you so. You create your own world. You create your own path. You create your own choices. You create your own beliefs. And every single one of them can be changed. Unless you want somebody else to come along and make you believe, you can't. But ultimately, you make the decision to believe that thing. So ultimately, everything is your choice. If I put a gun to your head and hand you another gun and say, you better kill your love of your life, you still ultimately pulled the trigger. Even if I forced you, quote unquote, to do it. Still ultimately your choice. And that's what this world is doing. It's making you feel that they've made you do it, or they've made you believe in something. You choose to ignore truth, or ignore choices, or go in a different path. And people don't want to see that. I see my faults. Know thyself. I know myself. I know my imperfections. I know I could be insecure at times. I know I can ramble at times. I know for some reason I feel the need to want to help other people. Whether that's good or bad depends on the other people. I can't control that. All I know is the reasons why I do it. So anyway, before this video gets too long, I want to thank those that took the time to listen. Whether you listen because you care, you listen because you were bored, or you listen because you wanted to hear me say something that you could put in a chop-up video, thank you for coming here and giving me the freedom of knowing that I could still, at this point, speak what I want to say, how I feel. I hope that out doesn't ever get taken away from us. But these social justice warriors, all of you, that are full of anger and hatred and judgment and ridicule, who want to ban every single thing, be careful what you wish for, because one day you may get it. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this video. If you want to comment, please do. If you want to watch it when it uploads, if you haven't seen the whole video, you're more than welcome to. It always takes about a half hour to 45 minutes for it to upload. If you want to subscribe, that's great. Thank you to all the people that took the time to leave their comments, whether they were sincere or nasty or rude or funny or sarcastic or thankful. Sunbeam Sting, thank you. Dakota Surya, thank you. MA51, thank you. Philosopher's Adventurer, Hi Harrison, Tales of Caliber, thank you all. I may not always agree with what you guys think or say. You may not always agree with what I think or say, but ladies and gentlemen, love the fact that we have the right to say it. Because one day they're going to take it away, and it's going to be the people that wanted to have a cause because they were hurt at some point in their life and they don't want to face it, that's going to be responsible for taking it away. So if you don't like some social justice warrior, instead of going there to help spread hate, ignore them. Let them drown in their own silence. Otherwise, like Mean Rabbit says, you reap what you sow. And that goes for everybody. So thank you very much. I'll leave the chat open when I end this video until the video gets uploaded, and then just continue the conversation in the comments section and create a dialogue. Let's create some unity. We've had enough hatred. We've had enough division. How about some love and some friendship? Because I'm so tired of putting my trust in people only to get taken advantage of and lied to and potentially have things stolen from me that I've worked hard to get. Thanks for watching.